French filmmaker and noted guy who is much smarter than me, Robert Bresson, is credited with the famous "a film is born 3 times" quote. In the writing of the script, in the shooting, and in the editing. I bet you didn't think we'd be quoting French filmmakers in a Jester 2 video, did you? Well, not to worry, because that's the last time anything like that will happen again.
You're a hack!
Who are you?
Help!
I need to get out of here. He'll find me.
Welcome to part 3 of our 3-part series on the making of the Jester 2, which you can watch now wherever you get your movies. I highly recommend doing that because this is going to spoil everything there is worth watching about the Jester 2. And if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, they each cover pre-production and production, which means this video is going to cover post-production. Now you might be thinking, excuse me, guy, but what gives you the right to tell me how to make a Jester 2? And to that, I would say, well, kind viewer, first of all, thank you so much for stopping by the channel and checking out our stuff. That really means a lot. And second of all, I am the writer, director, and editor of the Jester 2. So, the Jester 2 is about the only thing that I could possibly qualify to be an authority on. So let me have this. So anyway, let's get into, as Bresson puts it, the 3rd time the Jester 2 was born. Sorry about bringing up that French guy again. That's the last time. I want to show you 2 different versions of the same scene right at the beginning of the movie, and you tell me which version you think has better pacing. This one.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Eric. Earth to Eric.
Guess he doesn't want to commune with the dead.
I wonder if there's anything Eric is more afraid of than ghosts.
I can hear you. Oh. It says girls.
Oh, that would make sense. I would be afraid of talking to girls too. Especially if the one I had a secret crush on just showed up.
You think he's too afraid to talk to her this time?
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
I'm not afraid. Sure. Whatever you say, bud.
Or this one.
What's up, y'all?
Welcome back.
Thank you. You think he's too afraid to talk to her this time? I need a cigarette.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
I'm not afraid. Sure. Whatever you say, bud.
If you've seen the movie, you already know which one is the final version. It's the second one. This is an important lesson I feel like every filmmaker has to learn at some point, especially when first starting out, and especially when you're acting as your own editor. If you're aware of how much you toiled over something in the writing process before finally landing on something that you liked, and then you're aware of how long it took to get however many takes of that thing on set, why would you ever be willing to cut that thing out of your movie? I imagine as a director working with a professional editor, this might not be something you have to worry about as much, because the benefit there is the editor won't come with all of the baggage that you do. So when acting as your own editor, you have to learn how to separate the material from the experience getting it. Look at your cut and think, how much can I lose and still get my point across? It might be more than you think. Put your film together the way that it was written, and the way that it was shot. If it's not your favorite, lose it. Here's another example.
Oh, excuse me, sir. It's an active crime scene. Please step back.
I got a call. I was told to be here.
You're who the girl called.
What in God's name happened here?
The kid's mom dropped dead in the little girl's room.
Oh, God. Oh, God, hell.
Don't know. No sign of injury. I've seen people drop dead before out of nowhere. Aneurysm. But we won't know until we get the medical examiner's report. tragic, but it happens.
This is a nightmare.
Yeah. Big night for that.
Hey.
Oh, excuse me, sir. It's an active crime scene. Please step back.
I'm sorry, I got a call. I was told to be here.
You're who the girl called.
Hey.
See? We just don't need all that. Let's get to it. Once you stop being precious about the material, it can feel really liberating to whittle something down and try and get it as tight as possible. Okay, so let's say you've gone through the process of cutting your film down and you've got it to a place that you like, and you have that feeling that we all have in the edit. I wish I'd gotten more. Here's something that we did this time around that I wish we had done on the first Jester. We did get more. And I'm not talking about flying back out and spending thousands of dollars on reshoots. Here, take a look at this moment again. You notice anything? What about here?
Now, let's get you out of those.
Well, where the hell did I put it?
Or here?
It wasn't in
I
his
told
hand.
you. I told you guys he was drunk. I told you.
I mean, he was asleep on a bench. You're going for it again?
Oh.
I don't think this is how the... Okay.
And here?
Are you going to kill me?
Okay, if you're answering, I can't hear you, so I'll just tell you. It's insert shots. These scenes all have insert shots. Here, 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 and here. These shots were all captured in my living room. One of the first things to go during really fast-paced shoots are close-up insert shots. In the grand scheme of things, when you're trying to move really quickly and capture a lot of material in a short amount of time, they just become non-essential by comparison. Months after production wrapped, I was deep into version who knows of the edit, and I wished some of these moments had more clarity. And I realized we could cobble together some insert shots on our own and maybe get some of that clarity back. So with the help of Mike and my pal Avon Pitts, who is a talented DP and director in his own right, we made a wish list of things we wished we had in the edit and might be possible to get on our own. And here's that list. Ouija board close-ups, both at the party and in the woods at night. Shot on my kitchen table with a stand-in Ouija board built by Mike. Willie's key. Shot in my living room with a red blanket hung in the background and our friend Molly Evans standing in as Max's hand. This close-up of the Jester intentionally picking out the Ace of Spades card. Shot in my living room. The Jester struggling to burn said card. Shot in my living room. Even a few of the kills felt like they needed a little bit more to try to sell the effects a little bit better. So we also shot these two inserts of the Jester's coat squeezing Logan's midsection, shot in my front yard. And for the cop losing his hands to the handcuffs, we had the hands coming off on set, but not a lot of build up to that moment. So these hands are actually Mike's hands in my front yard with a blood tube gag that he rigged up himself. I'm so glad we made an effort to get these. As small as they are, I feel like they go a long way in giving each scene just a bit more clarity and emphasis in certain moments. And you can get them right in your own living room. Okay, I don't have a transition here, so we're just gonna move on to the next thing. A super small, low-budget movie like The Jester 2 just doesn't have the money for extensive visual effects. So if there are going to be any, which there always are, they need to be planned and shot with that intention well in advance. A lot of the VFX in this movie, I only wanted to be VFX if I had an idea of how I could do them, because if I could do them, then actual talented VFX artists should be able to handle them no problem. That being said, I still wanted to take on as many of the VFX shots that I could myself, that way I could free up the VFX team to tackle some of the more advanced shots. So before we get into any of the obvious VFX stuff, there are plenty of invisible VFX happening in here, a lot of which could just be considered editing. For example, here's a shot from a cut part of the diner scene. Originally, at the end of this scene, Darren comes back out to bring Max a salad, and has a few more cruel things he says to her. That's why a salad has magically appeared in front of Max. It just felt like one too many mean things said and done to Max, so I wanted to cut the second Darren bit to tighten up the pacing. But I still needed a shot of Max getting up from the booth. Problem is, Darren is standing right there. So splitting the frame and taking a section from the first part of the take, before Darren gets there, we can erase him from the shot. Just as long as we make sure we cut before Max overlaps with where the screen splits. And voila. No more Darren. There are a few more moments in the movie where we use retiming like that, whether it's split screen or cutting 10 seconds of time out of a oneer. But what about the actual VFX? Sure, fine. Let's talk about the Apron Man scene. As mentioned in the previous video, which covered the production of this scene, we shot Mike on a green apple box on the day, in an effort to shoot as quickly and as cheaply as possible. One thing I was concerned about was, if Mike was sitting on the flat top of the apple box, it would change the shape of his butt, flattening it out so when the box was removed later, it would look unnatural. So to counteract that, we had Mike sitting on a sandbag on top of the box so that the shape of his body wouldn't be affected by being pressed up against something flat. As mentioned, we shot one wide profile with the actors and, without touching the camera, one clean plate with nothing. That way, when removing any elements from the profile shot, the clean plate supplements anything behind those elements. As with anything green, it's never as easy as just keying something out and being done. Most of it's going to require roto work, sometimes pretty extensively. In this case, the entire Jester needed to be rotoscoped out. Why? Here's the shot with just the box removed. Looks basically like the script describes, but something still felt weird. Sure, what's happening here is physically impossible and meant to look weird, but there was still an uncanny aspect to the shot that made it feel fake. And I realized, if you look at the Apron Man, he's moving and struggling against the Jester, who presumably has all his weight on the Apron Man's chest. Yet the Jester is completely still, because he's sitting on a box. There's no residual movement. So, using the puppet tool in After Effects, I decided to give the Jester a little movement. This now meant having to roto his entire body out as he has to move separately from the background. Now, separating him on set with a green screen would have made this a lot easier, but I didn't anticipate needing to give his body separate animation. Oopsie. Whoopsie. With the Jester's body rotoed, I thought I'd be super clever and track a portion of the Apron Man's upper body and then parent the hips pin on the puppet tool to that tracking data. And I got this. Okay, it's close, but there's some weird stuff going on here with the track. And I fought with this footage for days until I finally realized, who cares? No one's gonna notice if it's tracked accurately to the Apron Man's body. I can just take those same puppet pins and apply a generic wiggle expression to them. And boom, there we go. Duh. Super easy. Aside from adding a little extra fire to the Jester at the end and covering Jason puppeteering the burning Jester, maybe the most extensive VFX shot that I worked on was the one where the Jester's hand ignites while holding Max by the throat. There was no way around it. We needed to see it. So we needed to figure out a way to shoot it. We had a whole plan that we executed on set. We shot a plate of Caitlin acting like she was being choked, and we lit our trusty flash paper just off camera to give the requisite reactive lighting to her face. Then, we brought in the green screen and a dummy hand laced with flash paper. We lined the hand up as best we could to where Caitlin was standing and lit it on fire. Then, in post, brought those two elements into the editor and... yeah, that looks like shit. It looks terrible for a number of reasons. One, the green screen is rendered completely useless. Why? We'll take a look right here. What color is that? Green? I don't think so. Okay, so I can't key that out. But I thought maybe there was a way to combine a green screen key and a Luma key, keying out parts of the image based on brightness instead of color. Okay, it'll be rough, but even if I could get that to look passable, what's the other problem here? Why does this look so 2D? The fire isn't reacting with Caitlin's head at all. It can only look like fire in front of her face because That's what it is. A 2D fire element comped in front of her face. No amount of masking is gonna save this. Now at this point I could have thrown up my hands and said, well, good luck VFX guys, it's your problem now. But I decided instead that maybe this was something I could add to that wish list of things I could try to shoot myself and see what I could fix. So I thought really hard about this shot. What was the bare minimum that I would need to make it work? I was lucky enough that Mike was able to 3D print a head and some hands for me. And then I went out and I got some white gloves, orange fabric, a pool noodle, and a dowel rod. For the first element, I needed to reshoot the hand. The dummy hand was just, well, you can see for yourself, it's not convincing. It needs to be a real hand grabbing a real thing. So I set the head up in my garage on a C-stand in front of a crumpled black background. I knew that I was going to be rotoing the hand out, so I just needed the head and the background to contrast the hand and glove well enough. I positioned the head so that it was being lit from the same direction that Caitlin was on set using a diffused frosted window I have in my garage. Then I just grabbed the neck and let go repeatedly to get a few different versions. And I gotta say, I felt like a complete idiot doing this. I kept saying over and over again, this isn't gonna work. This is a waste of time. Sure, in my head, everything kind of made sense, but in the moment, I felt like all I'm gonna be left with after this is just some really stupid looking footage. Then I needed the burning element. So I waited for nighttime and I went out into my front yard. This was not something that I was going to shoot in my living room. I knew that I needed to pull a luma key from this footage, so I needed everything around the fire to be as dark as possible. I cut the pool noodle down to forearm length and then secured it to the wooden dowel. Then I ended up spray painting the pool noodle black and I just didn't use the orange fabric because again, I wanted everything around the fire to be as dark as possible. I'm just getting the fire. I put the glove on one of the 3D hands and taped that to the end, and then I squirted the whole thing with lighter fluid and lit it on fire. Then I basically did the same thing. Once the hand was on fire, I positioned it under the head and removed it over and over. Now I have a fire element that'll not only be much easier to pull a key from, I have fire interacting with a head, wrapping around it in a much more realistic way, because it's real. I was still not convinced that this was gonna work. I pulled the footage into After Effects, and not too terrible. It worked. I just needed to do a little comp work in masking around Caitlin's head and cleaning up some of the fire elements, and we go from this to this. For never having tried to do VFX of this caliber and shooting my own elements from scratch, I'm really proud of this shot. It's barely 1 second long, but it sells everything it needs to without being distractingly bad. And you know what? I'll take that. We were lucky enough to have an actual VFX team work on this movie as well, with Tarek Saleh and his team at Cannonball VFX turning in some outstanding work. It was so great to work with these guys, with just about every shot they did coming out perfectly. These guys were responsible for a lot of normal run-of-the-mill VFX stuff that I'm honestly just not very good at, like wire removal for this scene and this scene, or painting out Darren's mouth slit at the end here. They were also responsible for maybe the most difficult VFX shot in the whole project. And I'm not sure how much of it I'll be allowed to show here, but let's try. On the day when Logan gets humiliated by the Jester, the plan was to have some sort of modesty cover for Hasten when shooting that moment. But the modesty device that was brought to set that day was this bizarre jockstrap contraption. I have no idea what the hell was going on with this thing, but that's what we had to use. I just thought this was so much more confusing for Logan to be wearing instead of regular underwear or being nude, which is what the intention is. So I tried my hand at painting those straps out in post, and turns out I really suck at that. Yeah, you do. Come on. So I sent that shot to Tarek and asked them, is this something you'd be able to tackle? And wouldn't you know it? They did. Now, I've gone through this shot frame by frame, and let me tell you, it's flawless. And don't be weird. I don't think I would be able to wrap up a video covering post-production without at least mentioning music. We have been super lucky to have had the same composer on most of our projects for the last 10 years. That's incredible. His name's Rafał Gorzkieminski, and I think he's done a phenomenal job on all of our projects, including the Jester. Because of him, our little YouTube guy has a recognizable theme, and to hear how he's evolved that theme over the last 10 years has been so cool to listen to. It's always fun to try to give other characters their own themes as well. For example, for Max's theme, I sent him the theme for Ava from Ex Machina and asked him if he could emulate that same vibe, that same sense of innocence. But he also added this music box quality to it that just felt like it fit Max's character so well. Anyway, I just wanted to give him a shout out. He deserves recognition. Listen to the work he's done on our short films, especially Victory, our Star Wars short film. It's Star Wars World War II music, and he was able to do that somehow. I think it's absolutely amazing. Go listen to it. You don't have to watch the short, just listen to the music. Being able to bring Rafał on for these movies has been such a reward, as has being able to bring anybody who helped us out on any of our projects over the years. This guy at the end of the first Jester, also this guy in Jester Chapter 2, that's Nick Lewis, and he's responsible for lighting all of our short films. Well, the ones that look good, at least. And he's also responsible for taking all of these awesome unit stills that you've been seeing throughout this behind-the-scenes video series. Avon, the director DP I mentioned earlier, ended up coming in on the third week to be our B camera first AC, when we otherwise would have had to stop using 2 cameras. We've helped each other out on various projects throughout the years, and Jester 2 ended up being his first feature film set. That's super cool. Being able to take this ride with the people who have been on it with you since the beginning made any of the stress and frustration worth it. And I'm so thankful to them for sticking with me for as long as they have. And as for me, I don't know. As I mentioned in a previous video, I approached the making of this project like it was going to be my last one, because I don't know if or when I'll get another chance to make another feature film. So I wanted to make sure I left this one with little on the table. And if you're somebody who doesn't think they're in a place to make a feature film, here's a fun fact. I have a regular day job. I'm an audiovisual technician at a theme park. I am not a full-time filmmaker. Portions of this movie that played in theaters were edited on my laptop while I was in projector booths at my regular job. The rest of it was edited while I was at home at my kitchen table. Same place we got those insert shots, if you recall. So if you think you can't make your ideas because you're not there yet, I'm here to tell you you probably can. The Jester 2 does not exist because we're skilled businessmen who are able to leverage our short film into a feature film opportunity. It exists because 5 guys knew of a cool spot on a sidewalk that wouldn't be busy at night, had $500 in their bank account, and could organize time around each other's schedules, and had enough passion to motivate themselves to make pretty stupid decisions which led to some pretty neat results. They made what they wanted to make, and so should you.
Why don't you just watch some scary movies or something, okay? I'll be back later.
If you made it this far and watched all 3 of these behind-the-scenes videos, congratulations. You now know more than I did when I started this process, and can confidently go out there and shoot the Jester 2. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful in some small way, even if it was just to motivate you to get out there and make something that excites you.